Are you driving yourself crazy trying to figure out the difference between strategy, systems, processes, policy, or standard operating procedure? If these terms sound confusing, then this video is the one for you, because you'll need to understand the subtle differences if you want to build a sustainable business that's scalable. I'm going to break down all of these terms, explain how they interact with each other, and where to use them in the business context. With examples, of course, so you don't have to bang your head against the wall any longer. Now, if that sounds good, keep watching and let's get into it. Hey, I'm Tobias Hens, former IT department head turned founder and CEO. As solo business owner, it's easy to get stuck on the detail level of doing the work all day long and forget about strategy, policy, systems, processes, or procedures. But if you want to build a business that's scalable without risking burnout along the way, you need to understand how these parts connect and interact with each other, from a very big picture perspective all the way down to a very granular or detail level. So here's what that looks like. We have strategy, and that's all the way zoomed out. Next is policies. Then we have systems, processes, and procedures if we zoom in a little more. And below all of that, we would have the level of doing the work, which is where most of us spend a lot of time. But it's not necessarily the place to be if your goal is to run a business sustainably and scale it in the long run. So let's talk strategy first. The official definition goes like this. A strategy is a combination of intents and actions through which a business can compete with its rivals. In other words, it's an integrated plan that helps a business achieve its goals. So for that, a strategy should have a long-term perspective. That's a key feature. Think years, not weeks here. It should also be dynamic, meaning it has a clear direction, but not necessarily a fixed endpoint or an all-or-nothing destination. I picture strategy like a road trip from Oregon to Florida. The direction is clear, west to east on the map, not north to Canada or south to Mexico, right? I'm defining a specific direction. The mode of transportation is also clear, because road trip implies going by car, not by plane or on foot. What I don't do is fixing my final destination in Florida by putting a specific street address into my GPS. I also don't have a fixed time for the trip. If I drive through Alabama and I want to see the world's biggest office chair, because that's a thing apparently, so why not? I have the flexibility to do that without the entire road trip falling apart. So in our context, a strategy is the high-level direction the business is headed, with a focus on big picture goals. Now, zooming in a bit, we have policies next. Policies are principles of action that are adopted by a business. It's a set of rules guiding routine decision-making to ensure consistency within a business. Sounds really fancy, right? But what does it mean in plain English? So, if a strategy maps the path to our business goals, a policy defines boundaries for our decision-making, okay? So it's a set of rules for making rational decisions on a day-to-day basis. What you're going to do and what you're not going to do. And these policies are guided by the strategic direction of the business. Having a direction and then a set of policies that follow that direction really aligns everyone in the business to be heading in the same direction. If we look at the example of our road trip again, a policy or rule can be that I stop every 150 miles to rest for half an hour. Or I never drive more than 500 miles in a full day. In business, your policy can be that you value quality. That's the rule. So it shows in your web design, in your marketing emails that you write, the quality of your client onboarding process or in your support. And this policy of valuing quality even extends to your working hours, because it's unlikely that you can deliver high quality consistently if you work 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. So the policy of delivering high quality work has an impact on your working hours by default, and it puts boundaries on it. So aside from the big picture strategic direction, policies are so important because they impact everything downstream, everything that comes after. All your systems, processes, and procedures that follow will be guided by strategic direction and policies you put into place. All right, next we have systems. That's what I am mostly on about on this channel. Systems for all sorts of applications. So generally speaking, a system is an interconnected set of processes, people, technology, and resources. And the purpose of a system is to achieve specific goals, ensure consistency, efficiency, and scalability. If we take the road trip example again, we can break parts of it down into a system because there are processes, people, technology, and resources involved. Planning the route, packing, driving, refueling, those are processes, which we'll talk about in a minute. We definitely have people involved, the driver and potential passengers. There is technology there, the car, navigation apps, phones, the radio, and we need resources like fuel, money, water, and even time. If you like to think in business terms, picture an online store that sells t-shirts. As customer, you browse a website and place an order for a t-shirt. The website records that order, your payment is processed, then eventually the warehouse prepares and packs an item, shipping is arranged, and eventually you'll receive your t-shirt and get an email to leave a review. All of these activities together form one system to sell and deliver products online. Now, since I mentioned processes a few times already, let's talk about them right now. The next up anyway. So a process is a series of actions taken in order to achieve a particular outcome repeatedly. And in plain English, it's a bunch of steps you have to take in the same order to finish something again and again. Do this, then do that, so you get this result. For the road trip example, the outcome we want is to keep the car running throughout the entire trip, right? So a series of actions or a particular process can be to monitor the fuel gauge while driving, stop at the gas station when the tank goes to quarter, pay for gas, fill the car with gas, then continue driving. This is considered a process because the same series of actions can be repeated multiple times during the entire road trip, like whenever the fuel level gets low. In business, the classic example is sales calls. Now, I added a Calendly link for free consulting calls in the video description below. If you're interested in working with me, you click the link, book a call, you get an invite by email, and we'll have the call eventually. That's a repeatable process. Now, another process is posting videos just like this one every week and asking you to like and subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to grow this channel to support more people who want to take their business from scratch to profit. So liking the video and you subscribing is the best way to be part of that journey. And I definitely appreciate if you do that. Now, we could stop here because we've just defined the what to do. That's pretty detailed already. But there's one more level that matters big time in business, especially if we consider scaling operations at some point. We know what to do, okay? But we don't necessarily know how to do that. That's where SOPs or standard operating procedures come in. So SOPs are detailed step-by-step instructions explaining how to execute the specific steps of a process consistently. They make sure people do things the same way every time for consistency and good results. I remember this situation from my days as IT department head. There were two people sitting in the same office doing the same task in two completely different ways. Unfortunately, they somehow managed to achieve a similar result at the end, so no one cared to standardize the procedure back then. Now, while the government can afford to waste taxpayer money working like that, chances are you and your business can't afford to do that. As someone who made this mistake myself, I can tell you it pays big time to write down certain procedures. I recently outsourced part of my video editing, and it was a pain in the butt initially to standardize that output. I had nothing written down, and I had to spend a lot of time clarifying steps and expectations with my contractor. A simple checklist would have made my life so much easier in this case. So if you intend to scale your business at some point, you need to write it down now. All of it, no matter how small and logical a task looks like. All right, strategy, policies, systems, processes, and SOPs. I hope I could clarify the terminology and show how they all connect and interact with each other. I'm sure you have questions about this, especially if you're starting out. Like, where do I start? How do I identify what systems or processes I have in my business? How do I make sense of it all? Well, if that's the case, subscribe to the channel and watch more videos just like this one. And I see you there.